Welcome to the Forge, my wanton wildlings. I'm your creepsmith, and I hope you like my work.
There has been much made of the presence and importance of inherited genetic memory, specifically instincts. Where do they come from? Why do we still have them? How much of our free will and our identity are influenced by them? Tonight's protagonist is introduced, forcibly, to the reasons for just such an instinct. Tonight's story: They Come. There's no doubt about it. We fear rain. We wear trench coats, carry umbrellas, all of that to avoid getting hit by some lousy droplets of water. But what is it that makes us fear it? It's not something we learn. It's something deep, something that resonates within us. An unexplainable repulsion toward getting ourselves wet during a downpour. That's not a learned fear. That is instinctive. Instinct. Such a small word for such a huge idea. See, I lived in the countryside for 4 months. Now I'm back in the city. The neighbors used to tell me to nail the windows shut for about 2 or 3 weeks right after I started living there. But it was the beginning of the summer, and with all the heat of the sun, I wasn't going to do something as stupid as that. At least, I thought it was stupid. You know that smell, the one that rises just before the rain starts falling on you? In the city, people will always say it's the smell of watered earth, of the dirt getting wet, of bacteria, plants receiving the rain. But those people have never been in the country. They haven't the faintest idea. You see, the cities, those huge metropolises, they haven't always been there. Mankind has been living in nature far longer than it has in cities. That's why we still have the instinct to fear the rain. It's not the smell of earth, dirt, bacteria, or plants. It's their smell. They come out in the rain, and they seek to mate. But they can't hold their own. They have to retreat hastily as soon as the rains give in, as soon as the water stops. I didn't nail my windows shut, and as soon as the rain came, I started hearing it. Have you ever heard that tiny, almost unnoticeable hum, or the high-pitched whine that TVs make when they're turned on? Have you ever felt that pressure on your chest when a low-pitched beat is heard? Those are the things that filled the air. That smell, those moans, high and low, those thumping moans. See, it's the smell that they follow. I came home a bit wet, for the rain started on my way home. I started hearing those noises sometime after I entered my house. Then the scratching began. I went to check it through the window, and what I saw was horrible. What at first looked like a giant worm was, in fact, a humanoid thing, with its lower body being one long leg, or tail. Its small, atrophied arms were strong enough to allow it to crawl, slither. And its face, it looked like it had been petrified. The only thing that looked like it was in use was the nose. It moved, and as soon as I got close to the window, its face, its entire head turned towards me. The window was, well, it was slightly open, and now I knew it turned because it could smell me. It moved towards the window, but it wasn't strong enough to pull itself up inside, and I had enough time to close it. Soon enough, though, it turned, trying to sense my smell, my odor. And after a while, more came. From the hills came an entire legion of those things, 300 or 400 maybe. Thoughts of monkeys running up toward high rocks and climbing trees came to mind. These are the things that we have feared since the dawn of time. And after a while, the macabre sight became something that I couldn't stand. The noise was so much that I couldn't sleep, and these things were ugly and disgusting, but I couldn't stop watching. Soon I saw an old stray dog that always wandered around. It was a dirty dog, must have been 15 years old, too old to run. Turns out, too old to live. They grabbed hold of its paws. 1, 2, 3, 5 of them. The dog started howling and tried to bite one, then another. Soon they overpowered that poor animal, and then it happened. From their chests extended a stinger. 1, 2, all 5 of them. They started stinging the poor thing. After that, they all turned toward the east. Then they started crawling, fast as they could, toward the plains. They disappeared as fast as they came. The dog lay motionless for a minute or two. It seemed like parts of him started breathing. At intervals, different parts would pulsate. And then suddenly he jumped up to all fours, looking renewed. It started running around like it was a young pup, and then it took off toward the plains, disappeared from sight. When morning broke, I took nails and wooden planks and nailed my windows shut. I didn't even leave a hole anywhere. I checked for other weaknesses in the walls, the door. God, I was starting to get paranoid. I left the house to get some groceries from the neighbors. They had their own farm and had a lot of things for sale, like a farmer's market. But again, we're talking farms here. The distance that I had to travel was about a mile or two to get to their house. When I got there, there were black menacing clouds scudding in. The neighbors were cold and quick. They gave me eggs, milk, some honey, sold me some meat, but they told me if I wanted to live, I should stay for the night. I remembered that last night, but I still hadn't made the connection between monsters and rain, so I declined the offer and started to hurry back, while the farmer, insistent, yelled that I should stay if I valued my life. The rain started midway toward my house. I was wet within the first 10 seconds. It was a real downpour. Then that smell came once more, and I heard the sounds. Those high-pitched whines, those low thumps. I wet my pants when I saw the first of those things crawling toward me through the rain, its nose like a black eye. I dropped what I was carrying and ran for my life. Even though they crawled, they were actually pretty fast. I was beginning to lose my breath when suddenly, once again, the image of monkeys climbing trees came to me. I remembered it couldn't lift itself through the window, and I realized I had a small hope for surviving this, but I did have some hope. While I was running, I turned to see left and right. All I needed was something above ground level, something they couldn't climb up to. The barn. The farmer's barn. I could see he left his old wood ladder on the side of it. All I had to do was set it up, climb it, and then raise it so they couldn't follow. It was heavier than I thought, but I was truly terrified of what would happen if I didn't raise it. So I did. When I set it in place, one of the things, faster than the others, tried to stab me with his sting. I could see it like the world was in slow motion. I grabbed the sting with both hands while the thing kept trying to nail me with it, and an egg came out. While I tried to keep it away from me, I pushed it to the side, and the egg fell to the ground. It started to move and pulsate, but then it stopped. The exterior of the egg turned to stone. Now, as soon as that happened, I heard a clamor of the other things, stronger, more penetrating. I saw that the one thing which had tried to stab me was now writhing, like it was in pain. When I saw this, my overwhelming fear was suddenly gone, replaced with rage, so I started kicking the thing. I stomped on it until its head caved in. I ran up the ladder and I raised it towards me and stayed up on the barn's roof. I don't know how I managed to, but eventually I fell asleep. The next morning I was woken by the farmer's wife, yelling at me. She kept asking why I was there. I put down the ladder, climbed down it, and found a little stone ball, and the skeleton of a dog with its skull bashed in. Why had I never seen these things until now? Why did this happen only in a place like this? Then it started to occur to me. The egg, the rain, the smell of wet people. What about those flashes in my mind, those memories of a time long gone? The people around that area, the environment, it was all very much like the one that had been there some thousands of years ago. Yeah, there were some new things, like the houses, the vehicles. But those were the only new things. And those memories of the past came to me because those things, they were primal fears. We've been running from the rain and the water for so long. Even when we were unevolved chimps, we ran from it. And we climbed off the ground as well. I left that place as quickly as I could. I only spent one more night in those plains. I heard those screams and thumps, but this time they were coming for me, for my house and my aroma alone. I'd killed one of them. I had wasted one of their eggs. I knew it was because of that, because how else could one explain all of that ruckus that happened when the infected dog dropped the egg? They beat on the door and slammed their bodies against it, kept moaning and scratching at the walls, hitting and weeping, smelling my fear. But the rain stopped more quickly that time, and they ran away. I'm writing this now because I'm still scared of them. I came back to the city, but maybe I should have let them take me. Instead, I think I've brought them with me, back to the city. They're out there, on the other side of my door, and it's beginning to rain. It will be for some time. 'Cause even now, even though we don't know about them, deep inside, we still sense them, and we still fear them. Oh God. The rain won't stop. It's been 3 days, and I'm beginning to lose it. They claw at the door, and I don't know how much more it'll resist. They're taking it down. They can smell my Funny thing about the past, even the distant past. If you forget it, it'll come back to bite you. Or sting you with an ovipositor. Stay scary, wildlings, and make the most of your nights.